speaking of what a ride,
Jonathan Taylor
is on currently quite the ride.
Quite the ride. In the news, on Twitter, a lot of back and forth. It's as simple as this. Jonathan Taylor has requested a trade after meeting with owner Jim Irsay. And now, fellas, here's the latest of where we are in this saga. Reports of him saying he had a achy back, and the Colts might put him on the non-football injury list.
Yeah, they're claiming the report was that the achy back was due to non-football related
outside the facility.
Activities outside. Right,
yes.
exactly.
Which means they don't have to pay you.
That's right. That's the key.
Yes. So do not get hurt outside of here, Matthew Berry.
Right.
Yes.
That's
a little
why I
advice
don't do
for you.
Physical activity. That dancing you saw me doing with Taylor Swift.
As far as it goes.
That's as far as it went. But meanwhile, then Jonathan Taylor himself on his official X account. I was going to say Twitter account, but now it's X. I got to get used to saying that. But Jonathan tweets this out. 1, never had a back pain. 2, never reported back pain. Not sure who, quote, sources, unquote, are, but find new ones, with a puzzled emoji.
A lot to unpack here with Jonathan Taylor. Not only, obviously, a mega piece of the fantasy world we live in, a mega piece of the Colts offense that we presumably think will start a rookie quarterback.
And a friend of the podcast.
Friend of the podcast, obviously.
This is just on the show last year.
This feels like the peak of the running back issue this offseason, which has been led by Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs. So we'll get into all of those here. But this one, Barry, has significant ramifications right now.
Well, it certainly does for a variety of reasons. Obviously, to your point, Jonathan Taylor is one of the top running backs going off the boards. I mean, prior to this news, I had him as running back 6, and I was probably lower on him than most in the fantasy football industry. He is a consensus top 5, top 7 running back throughout the fantasy football industry, and this is an offense when we all expect Anthony Richardson to be the starting quarterback of the Colts this year, which means they're going to be run heavy. I mean, they already were run heavy, but they're going to be even more run heavy, I think, with Richardson under center than if Gardner Minshew were the starter. And so to take away Jonathan Taylor, who you could argue is the most dynamic piece of their offense. I mean, again, we haven't seen Richardson play in the NFL yet. Michael Pittman's a nice player, but if he's not the most dynamic piece, you don't have to go far down the list until you get to him. And now all of a sudden he's not going to be there. It's a weird one. It's a really weird one, right? And if he doesn't play, if they trade him, if he holds out, whatever, like it's a massive blow to the Colts offense, to anyone that's done an early draft that's drafted Jonathan Taylor. Yes, a massive story.
Well, I think, first of all, I speak for all of us. If I don't care, because I'm speaking for all of us. I think we're all team Jonathan Taylor here.
Correct.
And there's a tweet from Joe Dolan, which I think kind of encapsulates the situation on screen here at FG_Dolan. Jonathan Taylor, trade me. Colts, no. You're worth more than we'll get. JT, pay me what I'm worth. Colts, no. Which is basically the essence of the situation.
And then unnamed sources, Jonathan Taylor might have a back injury that he suffered not doing football stuff. Maybe he was cliff diving or something, and now we don't have to pay him. We might put him on the NFI list. And Jonathan Taylor's like, that's a flat-out lie. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's where we're at, right? Beyond that, and I think Dolan's tweet there, I think Joe's great, does a great job. Joe's tweet is dead on, but then it goes beyond that. Whereas just now it's like, okay, now we're trying to now we're trying to mess with your paycheck. Jonathan's trying to get more money, and the Colts are saying, we're not going to give you more money. Now we're going to also take away what we actually do owe you.
Yep. Which is a mess across the board, and it would just push everything to next year if they were actually able to do that. He wouldn't accrue the year of service time.
That's the important piece here, right, is that he gets fined, I believe, he can be fined up to $40,000 a day that he misses practice. And if he doesn't report, he doesn't accrue the year of service, and he can't be a true free agent next year. And, maybe the market improves. So my guess is that, again, my guess is that ultimately Jonathan Taylor shows up to get paid and to accrue the year of service. The question is whether Jonathan Taylor goes out to practice one day, takes a handoff and just like, I'm feeling a twinge here, guys. I need to get in the tub. I don't know. Just it's not feeling great. My ankle's a little sore.
Yeah.
And he gets paid and he's just, I don't know.
I think all
would
these
you do
guys.
that? Because I kind of would. The
Yeah.
way he's been treated, I sort of feel like that.
I think all these guys should look at what James Harden did in Houston and Brooklyn to get out of those situations where he's basically like, not playing defense, not playing hard. I will show up, and I will put up some stats, and you will not be able to claim that I'm not doing my job, but I'm not really doing my job. I don't know if that's going to be on the cards. I think Taylor, just the way he plays, it's harder to do that in the NFL. But at the same time, I don't really know how this ends.
Right, and that's the other challenge, right? Is that like he can't, because the NBA is set up differently than the NFL. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Because if pretend he does that, pretend he basically he's just like, I'm not feeling it. Like I got this tweak in my hammy, and I'm just gonna be injured, wink and a nod, and we all know the real deal. But the fact of the matter is that he wants a big payday. And coming off of a year where he's been banged up, he's suffered with injuries throughout his, in his brief NFL career. He's had some significant injuries, and so going out to the free agency market in a year in which he doesn't play or whatever, if he doesn't have a big year this year, and then coming off last year, which I believe was his worst statistical year of his career, like that, it's hard to find an NFL team that's like, yeah, let me pay big money to that guy. So he's in a tough spot. Like, we are Team Jonathan Taylor, but I also feel like he doesn't have any leverage here.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is they'll just franchise tag him.
That's
and
the
just
thing.
go through that over and over again.
That's
So
the
it's going to
thing.
be years before he could actually really get out on his terms. So I think he's just going to be there. And the other thing, too, is that who is going to trade for him and pay him a market-setting deal after we've seen what has happened with Saquon Barkley, with Tony Pollard accepting his situation, with Josh Jacobs. Like, I just particularly because he came off a tough year for him. He wasn't the same guy that he was in 2021, I think just because of the injuries and because of his offensive line as well. So it's just a mess all around.
This time of year doesn't make it any better, too. Teams just spent the money. There's not extra money out there for a running back that wants to reset the market. But to really cap all this off, it feels like the Colts, specifically Jim Irsay, they're not making things better right now with Irsay's bizarre quotes out there that have seemed to have fractured the relationship with this team. This is a real tug of war, and I don't see a solution right now besides Taylor having to show up, but will he be the Jonathan Taylor of old?
I just want to,
I mean, you're talking about bizarre quotes. He's just like, Jonathan Taylor's like, hey, I'd like more money. And Jim Irsay, like, it doesn't matter if either of us die.
Here's the exact
And you're
quote.
like, right. And you're like, wait, what?
If I die tonight and Jonathan Taylor is out of the league, no one's going to miss us. The league goes on. We know that. The National Football League rolls on. It doesn't matter who comes and who goes, and it's a privilege to be a part of it.
I actually said the same thing.
That is Colts owner Jim Irsay, by the way. That's a quote from him.
I actually said the same thing about if me and Connor Rogers die tonight, will Peacock miss
Show-
us?
the show goes on.
Will Peacock.
Show goes on.
Yeah.
No,
it will roll on.
that's true.
Yeah.
Just so you know. And just in case you were wondering whether that's
I can imagine.
AI versions of us.
Yeah.
Not even.
Yeah, nice.
Not even. We'll find another
Yeah, let's get
Australian.
another
We're
one.
good.
Yeah.
100%.
See what Hugh Jackman's doing.
Yeah, exactly. Is he available? I mean, listen, hey, Hugh, actors are on strike. Why don't
Yeah.
you come, SAG's on strike. You need a gig.
Yeah.
We
I would
have
be
an
totally
opening for an
fine with that.
Australian.
We don't need my death for me to be replaced by Hugh Jackman. That's fine.
That's true. You know what? You could live, and we could still replace you
Yeah.
with Hugh Jackman. I like how this is all playing out. This is starting to play out. It's tough for me. I have to be honest with you. So a few things. First off, on some level, I love Jim Irsay because Jim Irsay is the reason. He's the one that sort of flicked the first domino to get Dan Snyder out of the NFL. He was the first NFL owner to come out and say, like, we need to look at this because this guy is ruining the league and, like, hurting our reputation, and we should really consider it. Like, he was the first guy to go publicly on the record. So he'll always have a place in my heart for that because I do believe Dan Snyder would not be out of the league if it wasn't for at least that. None of the other, everyone else was no commenting it. And Irsay was the one that was saying what everyone else was saying, was just like, the guy should not own a NFL franchise. But yeah, this one, I mean, you think about last year, the Colts, what a disaster they were, firing Frank Reich in the middle of the season. Jeff Saturday, hey, I saw you on TV yesterday. You want to come coach my team, even though you've never coached at any level, they were just an unmitigated disaster last year. And now there's some optimism, new head coach, everyone's excited about it. They draft Anthony Richardson. I think he's going to be an absolute fantasy monster. And now this. I don't know. We've spent too long on this, so I'll just wrap it up by saying this. You're in a draft today. Are you drafting Jonathan Taylor?
I don't think so.
I'm not dealing with the headache. No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
There's other options.
There's obviously a point in any draft where he would become value, but I mean, I think that's pretty far down.
I think there's
the
a chance. I think there's a chance that he gets to the second round. If you did a draft today, I think there's a decent chance he's in, mid to late second round. And at that point, I think it's worth, especially if you back him up later, with whatever, Zach Moss or whoever. Like I think he doesn't. I think it's unfortunate. Again, we're Team JT. But I don't think he has any leverage, and I think he's ultimately going to calm down and be like, you know what, I have to sort of grit my teeth and bear it because otherwise it's going to cost me too much money.
My best bet would be that he is on the field week 1 for the Colts. If I had to bet, yes, no, I would think that he is, just because all the kind of, the leverage indicators would suggest that that's just the way this is going to play out, and through gritted teeth he does that, but who knows.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and RotoWorld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from RotoWorld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.